Welcome back to another video of the Husker Breakdown. So, today I'm going to be answering the question, what are some reasonable expectations for Nebraska going in to year 4 under Matt Rhule? And, this is a question that I think that the answer is very, just different depending on who you ask. I mean, some people might say, Huskers are going to miss a bowl game. They're going to be 4-8. I mean, I would be shocked if the Huskers missed a bowl game just because our non-conference slate is so easy. However, I just wanted to answer that question, in my opinion, what are some reasonable expectations? But then on top of that, I'm going to show, in my opinion, important breakout or important players that need to be good, like important X factors. I'm not going to say the transfers that I think are proven in my mind, but the transfers that need to step up or that need to be able to prove that they're going to be good. Okay? So, without any further ado, let's get straight into it. So, I think, in my opinion, some very reasonable expectations for Nebraska are, I think they're going to go 8-5. Once again, you look at their schedule. You got Ohio, you got Bowling Green, you play North Dakota. That's just very 3 easy non-conference games. Then you're at Michigan State, which they just hired Pat Fitzgerald, and he's not a very quick rebuilder, and he's honestly not very consistent either. I mean, look at Northwestern. Like, they won the Big Ten in 2020, and then they dropped down to 3-9 in the next year. And then they were 1-11. Then they went back up to 8-5. Of course, I guess that was under David Braun, but you get the idea. Like, they're very up and down. Then you go and host Maryland, who Maryland, I mean, they are on Lifeline, and they're also going to be. It's going to be an October game, so it's going to be about the time when Indiana starts to kind of struggle. Let's put it that way. And, okay, so then after Maryland, you host Indiana. That's going to be a tough game. I mean, that's just the truth. What wouldn't have been, 3 years ago, but, of course, this isn't 3 years ago. Then, obviously, then you're at Oregon. You're hosting Washington off the bye, and you're at Illinois, and that's a Friday night game, mind you, at Rutgers, hosting Ohio State is your only home game in November, then at Iowa to finish off the regular season. So, obviously, that's a very tough, um, November stretch. And I said 8-5, I meant 8-4. And I think your wins, 8-4, I mean, you're going to lose to Indiana. You're going to lose to Oregon. You're going to lose to Ohio State. And I think you're going to lose to Iowa. I think Washington at home, that's a trap game for them. In a very raucous crowd, that's going to be the blackout game. I'm very certain of it. I mean, that's not going to be easy for them to come in here. And they've lost talent. I'm going to tell you that. I mean, Washington's lost talent. They are overrated. That is the truth. Okay, so 8-4. That is my one reasonable expectation. And then the second reasonable expectation. I expect that our offensive line and our offense as a whole to take a jump. I expect our offense, I think maybe average around the same points, about 30 points. That'd be great. And I think that in terms of just statistically, I think we'll be much improved from last year because we'll have a better offensive line. I think that's just how Nebraska will play this upcoming season. I think their offensive line should be a area of strength for Nebraska, as long as maybe with our receivers, but we'll see. But however, I do believe, like I said, that should be our offensive line should be the anchor for this Nebraska offense next year. Then my third reasonable expectation is I think our defense should be improved. I think absolutely it will be. I think it's going to bounce back. And definitely from a schematic standpoint, it will, because a 4-2-5 is much better than a 3-3-5, especially in the Big Ten. Matt Campbell, he had the 3-3-5 in the Big 12 for a long time. He used that, but then in the Big Ten, when he was going to go coach Penn State now, I mean, he's not going to do the 3-3-5 anymore. And you can't really do that in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is, just a bunch of big guys up front. Let's put it that way. I mean, it's called the Big Ten for a reason. But Nebraska definitely is doing a good thing in ditching the 4-2-5, and I think that's going to be a better schematic, just a better scheme for Nebraska. So, I think our defense will take a jump, and I think that's completely reasonable. And then number two, like I said, and this is maybe a bold expectation. I expect Nebraska to get a ranked win. Okay, I think it's gonna be an upset. I don't think we're gonna be favored in this particular ranked game. But if I was to give the exact expectation, I think it's to beat Washington. That's the expectation. Okay, I mean Nebraska, they've been in the doldrums for years. We have Mike Riley and Frost to thank us for that, or to thank for that, not thank us, thank them for that. I mean, Pelini was the last time we were competitive. We did go 9-4 in 2016 under Riley. We had a very easy schedule, and our only ranked win was against a 22 Wisconsin or Oregon at home. They beat A3, and they finished 4-8 in the Pac-12. So, just saying, Nebraska is not, or they have not been competitive for years. Okay, that's the truth. But this is the most complete roster Rhule has had. Okay, and I will say this much: if he goes and misses a bowl game, which he won't, I don't believe he will. I mean, like, he doesn't have Colorado, or he doesn't have Cincinnati, he doesn't have Oklahoma in the non-conference anymore, so that should be fine there. But if he misses a bowl game, there's no way I don't see him lasting the 2027 season. I mean, he might maybe last. I mean, we shouldn't fire him, in my opinion, because Nebraska needs stability. The last thing we should do is fire our head coach. But anyway, that's my opinion for the day. So, now, this is like the second part of this video, and let's just make this pretty quick because don't mean to talk the hind leg off a dog. So, these tabs that I pulled up here are players that need to, like, these are the X Factor players that need to improve. I'm not going to say the X Factors are, like, part of the X Factor is the good players we have, but the other, like, half of the X Factors is the players that need to improve and need to also just prove themselves. And you might be wondering why I have Calandria up here, because, I mean, look at his stats, and those are pretty darn impressive. But wait. He was in UNLV. It's the Group of 5 conference that's way easier than the Big Ten. The Big Ten is the hardest conference in modern college football. Can he transition those numbers to the Big Ten? If he can, great. Hands down, I can say Nebraska will be a very darn good team. But if he can't, I don't know. He might be like Jeff Sims, who paid like $1.2 million to come and sit on the bench. So I'm just saying, like, can Calandria fix his turnovers? Now, granted, we did not have a quarterbacks coach when Jeff Sims was there at Nebraska. That is a fact. When we had Jeff Sims, we did not have Glenn Thomas. That is true. So that is a good fact. But, however, can he figure out a way to find a way to be just a good quarterback for Nebraska? I mean, he's mobile. I don't doubt his legs, but I do doubt his arm, and he's short too. I mean, he's listed at 6 foot. He might be a little shorter. I mean, he's probably about my height, and I mean, I'm not much under. I mean, I'm about 5'10". I'm just saying he might be about my height, maybe an inch or two taller. I just don't think he's 6 foot. He doesn't look 6 foot when I watch him. And 205 pounds. I mean, that's pretty light, but not necessarily bad. I mean, he's not a big guy, but he's speedy, and that's not bad. I mean, I'd rather have a speedy quarterback that can make plays with his feet, like Adrian Martinez or Taylor Martinez, than a slow, fat quarterback like Deacon Hill at Iowa a few years ago. So, Anthony Calandria, he's an X factor. Then, Jacoby Barney, he needs to prove himself. Okay? He's good. He's made great flashes. Now, I'm not going to put this all on him. Like, those numbers aren't necessarily his fault. We did have a very bad offensive line. So, now I'm not going to blame him completely, but he needs to be able to be good for us next year. And I believe he will. I'm just saying, like, this is a player that needs to prove himself more. Like, I could have put Isaiah Hunter on here, and I definitely could have put, like, Quasi Gilmore on here, but, like, those are proven players in my opinion. Just a little, like, better numbers on their side, but they're, like I said, they are good players. So is Barney. Not saying that at all. But he also needs to also get a little heavier. I mean, 170 is pretty light for a receiver. Anyway, then another X factor, Van Poppel. Okay, Riley Van Poppel. I mean, he's 6'5", 295. I mean, he's not far away from 300 pounds. Like, if he could get like 310, I would feel a lot better about our defensive line already. But I mean, he can't be fat though, because if it's like 310 fat, not gonna be much use. Because Riley Van Poppel's gonna find a way to do more than just keep the field warm. Nothing against him, but that's kind of what he's been doing. 16 total tackles last year. I mean, and he's young. Okay, I'm not holding this against him. He's a young guy, but if he can be like a Ty Robinson or Nash Shotmaker next year, which I don't know if he will or not, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Just said it is not impossible. But I do believe Van Poppel, he definitely could break out this year. Honestly, I do predict him to break out and be better, and I think he wants to be good, and I think finally got a better defensive lines coach than Terry Bradden, and I think that kind of delayed his development because he had a very bad defensive lines coach. But Corey Brown, that should really help him because then he could be like a first down, second down kind of plug just to push against the offensive lines and not allow a running back to get like 5 yards per carry. That's what can't happen. And if that does still happen, then we're going to get gashed by teams like Iowa or Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State. But anyway, that is one guy. Then Gabe Moore. Now, Gabe Moore didn't have a single sack last year. I mean, he had 7 total tackles, and he's 6'5", 290. So he's a big guy too. He has potential. That's not what I'm saying. But for Gabe Moore, he's got to find a way to he can't be injured, but he's also got to not have off-field struggles. But on top of that, he's got to just improve, and he's got to just get stronger. And I think naturally, like I said, I've not said, but what I've been thinking, Ben Popple and Gabe Moore, they naturally will get stronger, and they naturally will get better as that progresses. That's the truth. So I do believe Moore, along with Ben Popple, they both could be pretty darn good players, but they are a bit of an X factor because if they're bad, just like they were last year, then our defensive line's gonna be a joke. Because that's just the truth. Then Dawson Merritt. Okay, Dawson Merritt, he had 4 solo tackles and 8 total tackles. So, to me, he's not very, he's just very young. That's expected. He is a freshman, and he's just young. He will improve. He's a young linebacker, but I do think we can predict those numbers to go up. I believe that he can be improved with the right coaching. I do believe, and if he can, that'll be great for Nebraska. Then you got Anthony Jones. Okay, so he was a very controversial transfer. 20 total tackles, 10 solos, 10 assists, 10 solo, obviously, or 10 assists, not 10 solo. I don't know what I'm saying. And then 1.5 sacks and 1 pass deflection. He's very modest in terms of statistics. However, I do believe that, and he's putting in the work with the right coaching and his final year of eligibility, he could be a good player for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And I hope that he is, because Nebraska, like I said, we've been in the doldrums. I'm like, aren't you fans tired of Nebraska being in the doldrums? Because I sure am. And we haven't even ever seen the good glory days, or at least I haven't. But honestly, you older people definitely have. But Nebraska for sure. They need to start with good trench play and work their way out. That's all I need to say. Hopefully, Anthony Jones can be a good player for Nebraska. Then, last but not least, Jason Shiggs. So, we brought him in from Townsend Tigers. He's a sophomore. He'll be a junior. He has no solo tackles to his name. And that's in his entire career. Not even a single tackle. Just 2 interceptions. One of them he brought back for 21 yards. That's it. Very modest. But, with the right coaching, and I'm sure that Addison Williams saw potential in this guy. That's why that's certainly why he tried to get him in the portal, and we succeeded. If he could develop over his junior year and senior year, that'd be great. And I could have said other guys too. Like I could have said even Dwayne McDougall or Rex Guthrie or like Donovan Jones, whatever. But the point of this, like Jason Shiggs, these are guys. This is a guy that hasn't proved himself. He needs to prove himself. We need to have depth, and we also need to not just have a bad defense. I think if we have a bad defense, we can't rely on our offense to save us the game, because that's what happened. Our defense was terrible last year. There's no way around it. Our secondary seemed good, but that's only because they just would run it down our throats, and it works. So why would they waste time throwing the ball when they could run it down our throats? That's pretty logical. So Nebraska, they need these 7 guys to prove themselves and break out. Okay, that's what needs to happen. These are X factors that need to prove themselves or break out. And if this doesn't happen, like if Calandria is like Jeff Sims, Nebraska, while they might still go bowling, they're not going to beat a team like Washington. They're not going to beat a team like Iowa. Or at least it's going to be hard for them to beat a team like Iowa. Iowa is Iowa. But the point being, Nebraska's got to find a way. I mean, 8-4, that's not, I feel like with that schedule, that's not hard. And I would consider it dropping a game to like, I don't know, like, I feel like losing to like Iowa, I would consider like dropping a game, in my opinion. Like, that could be a game they should win. Washington, at home, I think it's pretty darn hard for them to not get that. Because Washington's very bad on the road. I mean, their only road wins last year, I think against Maryland. I think they won another one. But like, Maryland, who finished 4-8 and wasn't great. I mean, Nebraska beat them on the road too, but like, this better be the year where Rhule finds a way to get himself some wins. And it'd be pretty darn nice if he could get himself a win over Iowa and not just choke against Iowa. Because Nebraska, I'll tell you what, losing to Iowa, particularly that 2024 matchup, because I was like, that was so demoralizing. Losing to Iowa, period, just demoralizing. Because it's the way Nebraska loses. So, maybe this year the cards will fall in Nebraska's favor, like they kind of did in 2022. I mean, go back to that game. Nebraska controlled the game in the trenches, and we were able to get some great passes. Trey Palmer and also Marcus Washington. Iowa doesn't return a whole lot of starters. I think they have 27. They return the least production in the Big Ten. They lose 27 seniors, and they lost some players to the transfer portal. But Iowa somehow finds a way to develop. But still, I do believe that for Iowa, they will certainly be down on good players. We will see what happens. Anyway, guys, that is it for me today. I will see you guys later, and until next time, goodbye.